Alright guys, little fun fact, if you have a camera that has a mic on it that has got a battery in it, you got to turn the battery on for the mic to work. It's usually best to turn the mic on before you start the video, because I forgot to do that. Alright guys, it's been a little over a year since I posted a video on this channel. There's a good reason for that, is I've been upgrading my equipment. I've been upgrading lights and cameras and microphones and just a lot of little things that I wasn't happy with before on this channel, and so I decided to upgrade a lot of stuff, and it's taken me about a year to get where I want to be at, and plus of course been busy and I've been taking guitar lessons, so there's been that as well. Well, what this video is about today, guys, is should you buy an expensive banjo when you're a beginner? And the short answer is no, you should not. So alright, well that's a wrap guys, that's the video right there. That's all we're gonna do. No, that ain't it. I'm gonna give you reasons why I don't think you should buy a banjo, an expensive banjo, let me say, when you're a beginner. Now, first of all, let me start off this video by telling you guys I am nowhere near an expert at playing the banjo. I took lessons for 3 or 4 years from a very good banjo teacher here in Knoxville. I play by myself in my basement at night. I used to practice a lot, but I don't practice as much now. But 3 or 4 times a week I'll get some practice in. And so, but I want to do videos on some of the things that I wish I knew starting out. That was pretty good. All this depends on what you consider expensive in a banjo. Now, when I started off, I bought a $200 or $250 banjo, which to me was expensive at that time. To afford a $200 banjo just to practice and play with and do whatever was expensive for me, to be honest with you. I didn't want to spend the money on it, but I wanted to learn how to play the banjo, so I went out and spent the money on it. Now, with that being said, you can buy a really good banjo for anywhere from $200 to $400, depending on what your budget is. You can even get on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, several different places, and find a good cheap banjo. I say cheap, inexpensive banjo to learn to play on, and it sounds fine. It sounds great. Expense depends on what you consider expensive. Now, I thought $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 for a banjo is well on out there, way beyond my means. And my $250 banjo, I still play to this day. Love it to death. It's a Mastercraft. It was a $250 banjo. I bought it as long as I keep my strings changed on it and I keep it tuned up and taken care of, That thing sounds great. Sounds wonderful to me. Reason number one that I don't think you need an expensive banjo when you're starting out as a beginner is you're going to wear the frets out as you're practicing and learning the chords and slides and everything you do with the left-hand techniques on a banjo. You're going to wear out the frets on the banjo up here a lot. Not as much down here because you don't get into that later on, or I didn't at least, but you're going to wear all these frets out up here because you're learning the, of course, the F chord and the D chord and the C chord and E, and you're fretting a lot up here and moving around. And so when I done it, I wore these frets out a lot up here. Now, granted, you can replace the frets, I know that, but with me, I didn't want to have an expensive banjo and have to be replacing the frets a lot in it because I was learning how to play banjo. Reason number two that you do not need an expensive banjo when you're starting out is because most people, unless you're experienced with another instrument, don't have the ear to detect the differences in banjo starting out. Now, granted, the cheap banjos, the cheap instruments, yeah, you can hear the buzz and all that stuff in it. You buy a decent low-grade banjo, a lot of people, I couldn't tell the difference in that and a high-quality banjo when I was playing them. So that's another reason, because you won't even be able to tell the difference, because all you're worried about right then is learning to play the banjo, learning your right-hand technique rolls, learning your left-hand rolls, learning slides, learning all that stuff. Also, on that same note, something else that I wish I'd have done when I was learning to play the banjo is took more of a mental note when I heard other people playing the banjo or heard other artists playing the banjo. I wish I'd have listened to them and took a mental note of what they were playing, what kind of banjo it was. And a lot of times you can figure out what strings they're using, what picks they're using, what bridge they're using. There's a lot of different things that go into the banjo that make it sound the way people want it to sound, and I wish I'd have paid a lot more attention to that as I was starting out, so later on I'd have known a little more what I wanted. Reason number three that you don't need an expensive banjo is you may not even like playing the banjo. The banjo is a hard instrument to learn, and I ain't saying it's any harder than any of the rest of them, but I've known a lot of people that go out and spend money on a banjo because they are hell bent on learning how to play the banjo, and now it is sitting in the corner or in their closet or it's in the garage or wherever. They either didn't want to put the time and effort into it, didn't have the time or effort, or didn't realize how much time and effort it takes to learn to play the banjo to a level where you're happy with playing it. Reason number 4, you don't want an expensive banjo when you're starting off. Especially this goes out to the men that are married or living with a woman or living with a fiance or whatever. If you're involved with somebody and you're living in the same house with them, a lot of times your lower grade banjos or your economy banjos aren't as loud. They don't personify the music out as much as a high quality banjo, a $3,000 banjo, $1,500. There's Recording King puts out a $800 banjo that is just phenomenal. For that price is just phenomenal. A phenomenal banjo. So if you get a lower grade, then a lot of times it ain't as loud and it don't interrupt people around you as much as you're learning to play and practice. Going back to what I was saying earlier, and this is just a bonus piece of information that I just thought of, is each banjo has a different sound. Going back to point number 2, depending on whether you get a mahogany neck, a maple neck, what tuners you use, the bridge on the banjo, the head of the banjo gives a different sound. Tone ring in there makes it louder or quieter. There's a lot of different things that make a banjo sound the way it sounds. And so what I recommend is starting to study in that as early as you can. Not that you have to be an expert on it, not that you have to know everything about everything on a banjo, because I sure don't. I'm just going to tell you right now. I play the banjo. I've got a Deering Sierra. I love it to death. I worked a lot of years to get to the point of getting this banjo. I wish that I had known and taught myself all the little ins and outs that I learned out through the years started earlier. That's what I wanted to do. That way when I got to where I was going to get me an upgraded banjo, I knew exactly what I wanted, what pieces I wanted, what bridge I wanted, what tailpiece I wanted, the whole kit and caboodle on it, and I could just say, put all this on it, give me a banjo. My last point to this whole video right here is if you are interested in playing the banjo, then by all means, pick it up and do it. Find a way to do it, regardless of whether you can afford a $75 banjo, a $150 banjo. Yeah, those banjos may rattle and do some of the things that don't sound as good, but you're still practicing a banjo. And that's the main thing. If you enjoy it and love the music, get you something and play it. Because there's nothing better than playing a piece of music that you are able to play yourself on an instrument, whether it be a guitar, a ukulele, a clawhammer banjo. I play it as well. Just do it, because I love music. I'm not very good at any of them, to be honest with you. But I love playing music. And that's what I enjoy doing. I'll sit down here 3 or 4 nights a week and I'll just play to my heart's content, or my wife starts screaming. Regardless of what level you're at, what you can afford, don't go over your means at the beginning. Try to learn it. I mean, get you a banjo that's, if you want something that isn't rattling and buzzing all the time, get you a $200, $250 banjo. A $150 banjo, you can get them on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. So just do it and love it, guys. With that being said, thank you all for pushing the play button. If you've enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Leave me some comments on the videos. Let me know where you're at with your playing. What instruments do you play? Do you play the banjo? Do you play the guitar? Do you like playing it? Do you have any tips and hints other than what I've said for beginners that you may want people to know? Guys, leave me a comment. And with that being said, we will see you guys in the next video.